Good evening, our fellow viewers. I want to say welcome you guys to our weekly Alliance on the Move TV program. And we are very happy for you to welcome us to your home, wherever you are joining us from, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TV, local television, and across Guyana, regional, or Caribbean, our diaspora members. Once again, good evening to all of you, and I hope you guys have been staying safe. Tonight programs, I have a very special guest here, and no stranger to you, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, former Minister of Public Security and a Member of Parliament. Mr. Kemraj, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ricky, and glad to be here. We had a pretty hectic day today, and just want to remind the Barbicians that, of course, apart from all the what a lot of Barbicians are telling me, the sufferation happening in the rice industry, we also have sufferation in Ukraine because of a war there going on. And we were today midday at the Russian embassy outside in the parapets next to the road doing a demonstration urging that the war must come to an end. Brothers and sisters in Berbice and those far wider than Berbice, because I know we are going to be on Facebook and YouTube and so many other places, this war is creating havoc in the world economy right now, like every war will. And we also must have a conscience to understand the sufferation here, the suffering of women and children, millions of refugees, the destruction of a beautiful country. I have never gone there, but I know a lot of my PYO boys in the earlier days, and lots of friends in government that have toured there, how beautiful Kiev is and all the Ukrainian cities and so on. And look what has happened after you had, the war tanks and Russians around the entire country, circling it and so on. So we had to do that which all right-thinking persons do, and that is express their sentiment as to how they feel about this war. War is no good. It is not a solution. And we had some placards there saying that please, Russia, stop the war. Please use diplomacy. Please use peaceful means for the settlement and to solve that problem there. That kind of war also has an impact in creating inflation all around the world. Because as you know, those two countries at war, Ukraine and Russia, are some of the biggest producers of wheat. And today, the wheat price in Guyana has gone up 15%. That would now necessarily mean that bread and roti and pulauri and everything else going to go up. And those is a staple for us Guyanese, right down to dumpling and everything else. And that is what the impact it will have, because the two countries produce almost, I think, 35% of the wheat for the world. And
That's
so,
exactly
yeah,
so, Kemraj. Exactly
and
so.
if you don't have that because of war and people can't work the fields, and so they can't supply the chains all across the world that then buy their wheat and so on and so on. So it makes, even so, like in Guyana, we buy wheat mainly from America. But now America has to buy wheat from other places rather than Ukraine and Soviet Union. And so the supply gets short. And the demand is great, and as a result, prices go up. And so we had to do what we did there, and I'm glad that about 22 people we had there with their flags of Ukraine and some placards holding up. I don't know if you could show that, but
I I,
certainly
I really wanted to congratulate you guys today for show that solidarity. I mean, despite
solidarity. Yeah,
right, despite what really causes this problem, end of the day, war is not the solution. It can create a world havoc. You understand me? I mean, we have to try our best to avoid and revert to diplomacy, like what Guyana and Venezuela was doing.
That's
You
right.
guys went to ICJ. You took those border issues to ICJ, and you believe in the court and the rule of law to make the decision. If it were the United Nations, the recommendation from United Nations. And I want to commend you guys because you guys were sitting in government when you guys took the matter up. And I think the current government also is following up on that, which is I must congratulate them too for taking the matter up. But Cameron, I mean, you quite clearly explained the economic trickle along into this third world country, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we have seen that the rice farmers in Blackbush Polar, they were protesting for because what the cost, the fertilizer prices keep increasing and so on. What's your take on that? What is your take, and maybe some
Well,
possible
that is a very big
recommendation?
issue, Ricky. A very big issue, and it is a very complicated solution to that issue. And I don't want to, go and make promises to rice farmers, but the solution has to be taking cognizance of what is the problems right now. And because of the problems right now, because of inflation at a worldwide stage, the costs have gone up for not only rice farmers. Fertilizer price is 10,000 plus now. Then you get prices for weedicides and pesticides. Prices gone up, I hear, for workers. I mean, people now want to work for $4,000-5,000 nowadays. They might ask for more. And labor costs has gone up. The cost of gasoline and dieseline have gone up. Pumping water out of the land into the land when they need it, and all of that gone up. And so almost every cost have gone up per acre for the farmers. But that cost is not only with farmers. I've spoken to some millers and also some exporters, and they're saying shipping costs have gone up because of the COVID, shipping and so on, a whole set of things that happened there. This war again, shipping costs have gone up. And the exporters are also saying they cannot be certain that when they sell their paddy to these foreign companies, that the companies is going to give them that kind of price arrangement that they had before. Or some of them are saying that the prices have been reduced. Now, I don't know how true is that, but when I went and checked, there are some websites that you can check the price of paddy, I'm sorry, rice, like wheat and soybeans and all of that. The
Commodities,
prices,
commodities.
right? It's the commodity website. It does seem that there is an up and down movement of rice prices. And the people are saying that it is not certain as to what they can get. So we have to be very careful as to how we're going to do these things. But even whilst we were in government, we were talking to farmers, and the complex nature of rice production as against what happens with world market prices is what is going to make this thing rather difficult and challenging. But there are some things that, like we had done, and you try to bring down as much as possible all the government taxations and exemptions to exempt all fertilizer duties and everything. But hardly you got that now. The only thing I believe that they can got to waive, and they got a lot of money, GRDB, is that for every ton of rice that is exported, GRDB collects $8. That $8 for all the millions of tons they've collected over the years have caused GRDB to be very rich with that levy, as you call it. GRDB got to pass this levy now. And this money collected over the years that runs into the millions of dollars into a direct subsidy to help at least the cost of the fertilizer to be reduced, because we're going to need subsidies for rice farmers now. I don't believe that the rice farmers can manage without subsidies. In America, the subsidy is very big. and they subsidize large sections of their agricultural sector. We can afford it too, because this war and this war especially has caused oil prices to go right up, $140 now a barrel, and we are going to make a windfall on that. Well, it is very important that when you get windfalls, that you take some of that money and you make sure that you put it up there for that which now going to be faltering, like the rice sector, and put up some subsidy that will then offset the cost for the fertilizers that will come. So if the fertilizers come for $1 million, they will have to put a 200,000 US dollars, and so that they could sell it to the farmers for the $800,000. If you
And it can
understand what I
go,
mean.
and it can go without a profit. You
That's
understand?
correct. Break
They can
even,
push it without a profit.
just the
Excellent.
cost. As a matter of fact, our government did that during the 2015-2020 period, whereby we brought it in and told the farmers to directly buy from government, and you cut the middlemen's profits too, because the farmers would want the fertilizer directly. Now, it
Correct.
got challenges about that too. No new situation is going to be perfect, because some people somehow they manage to know players in the sector. They go and buy 3,000-4,000 bag fertilizer. They start selling them. Corruption is rampant, because Guyanese are not angels. Oh yes, they're all kinds of things they're gonna manage to study through and do all kinds of things. So that is one of the things. That $8 US subsidy, not subsidy, levy, that they literally charge for every ton that you sell, they should now utilize that to create a subsidy. And of course, as I said, it is important that the government now use agricultural subsidy by virtue of the oil revenues.
Mm.
You got to help farmers. Farmers will be the ones who are going to supply the food for us. And rice farming is important. And it
Yeah,
is
but if
my
I can,
view that this agricultural subsidy, but you got to
is it,
plan it out properly.
that's
Because
right.
what happens with subsidies sometimes is that the government will utilize it in such a way to benefit their friends and families and favorites, like the flood relief, which is like a form of assistance and subsidy, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that there must be a transparent, there must be a very accountable system. Up to now, in relation to that flood relief, even the Blackbush people that called me, they wanted me to help with some of the fellas that get locked up and all kind of thing. I had to tell them that I am begging you to also go out there and get the names of the people who did not get their flood relief. But them, like somehow them, is either they're lazy, they just don't want to write down their name and their address and say, Mr. Ramjatan, we have not, because we give them the forms. There's a form that we Diana and so on worked out inside of the office there, but none of the forms coming back. And so when you have subsidies like that or flood relief like that being given out, you want the government, and I have pleaded with the government of the day, please put it on the website, everybody name and their address, where they
For
come from, how much
transparency.
acre, how much money they collected. Up to now, Zulfikar, Irfan Ali, and Jagdeo can't do that, because they get all the names. Who get 2 million, who get 200,000, who get 8 million, and all kind of thing. But then I want to put them in the website, because this thing could be digitized. It could be computerized. And all the 20,000 name or whatever amount of names could be there for purposes of Guyanese knowing. So when people go and check who get how much and what and what and what, you'll see the thing. And that is how you distribute public monies. Public monies is always supposed to be publicly known by the public as to who get what and so on. But them don't want that, because they get a set of friends and family and so on. So this agricultural subsidy from the oil revenues must be utilized to help these rice farmers.
Comrade,
But they
just
got
another
some other
point.
things.
Yeah, and that is what I want to come to, because despite other than the subsidies, I think you know I also grew up in a village where we plant rice, and so we used to go to the rice field at Baghdad, I think, and so on. So we know the guys that try to force in three crops and all these things and so on. But what I'm not seeing, and this is where the rice board I'm supposed to be doing, is to bringing better varieties of rice, ensure that the method of planting and the technology of planting and all these things and so on is being incorporated and being trained to these farmers. These are some additional things that can be done to help improve the yields. You understand me? But I am not seeing this happening. I'm not seeing. I want to just collect the money, collect the money, collect the money from the people. And your rifle says that some of the money now should come back, and that money should have gone to further develop better varieties, not 45 bags paddy per acre. In certain countries, you're getting 70 bags an acre. Why? Why is that so?
Well, there is where the science and the technology of the rice industry has to be spread to farmers in Blackbush and Essequibo and all across the place. And it has to also mean a strengthening of NARI. NARI only recently had its superior scientist, Dr. Homna Turu, knocked off. Because Jagdewin, like he just like how he knocked off Jadupat and he knocked off Vince Adams, Dr. Vince Adams. All them doctors he knocking off. Dr. Vince Adams, Dr. Homna Turu, Dr. Jadupat, and so on. Yes. And you bring Bear Kangala for put them there. You understand me? And that is what's going to happen. Because I recall that immediately upon the 2015, when we got into office, Noel Holder had started the process for a new variety that can bring the thing to about 45 bags per acre. And around 2019, the variety came out, but you got to plant more of that variety for distribution all across the country.
Correct.
But whilst you do that, you must also start the process of another variety that can do better than the 45. And the genetics of the thing, I don't know so much about the science of all of this thing, but people like Omnat would know. But they knock them off. And so that you're going to get now a NARI that is not going to be with anybody that with its scientific expertise. I don't know how much Jagnarine know about these things. Jagnarine is a friend of mine. But the trouble is you got to get more scientists into NARI, not knocking them off, especially one that knows the job at a PhD level like Dr. Umna.
Well,
But
you can
that
see
is
the
what you
results of
got.
that. You can see the
Yeah,
results of that now.
exactly.
So, Kemraj, I wanted to add. I
No,
wanted
but
to
here, before you go any further, I want to state that I made some points here. Better water management
right.
of the fields and the cultivation is important. In Ghana, it is very haphazard. You got some people a plant, and then 4 weeks after, some other set a plant, and then the water management that is supposed to go with flooding of the fields, irrigation of the fields, all during one time doesn't happen. And so because you're so scatterbrained about the whole cultivation, you can't be cutting the rice, during the wet weather and so on. It is not a very disciplined thing we Guyanese, especially in quarantine and so on, do. It is not very disciplined. And that indiscipline is what sometimes creates the paddy not being at a very high productivity levels, with high productivity
High
levels.
standard, yeah.
Yeah, and so you have all kinds of things happening there that even bring down the yield. And of course, you mentioned the other big thing that we had in store. And Borbicians, if you don't want to believe me, well, you can don't believe me, because I realize that this government doesn't have a plan, but we had one. And that one was a big plan of putting up a urea plant in Berbice, where
Yes.
we had wanted the natural gas, that same natural gas to go. Remember, this natural gas from Exxon was supposed to go somewhere in Region 5 or in Region 6. Isla we call Devil's Island, or somewhere by Maikoni area there. That natural gas is from where you get your urea. The fertilizer comes off from this natural gas. It is a byproduct of the oil and gas industry. And you had to ensure that in some big agricultural area, you're going to have that. And of course, that was going to be after you'd have set up what is called this energy, the gas
Energy
to
plant.
shore,
Yeah, the energy plant, the gas
the
ashore
energy plant.
energy plant.
And that
Yeah,
is why we wanted it somewhere up in region 5 or 6. Preferably, they were talking about region 5 rather than at Wales, where you got to pass through all them Demerara Harbor Bridge and the Demerara
river.
River and front and all kinds of things and create more problems. This thing could have gone straight to the coast and you got the lands there to develop this whole site. And that would have been a wonderful idea. It is a wonderful idea. It is the most environmental thing to do, is to have that. And so we have to start that kind of thing whereby we will produce our own fertilizer. Guyanese got to, and I know of entrepreneurs who have been telling us that they were willing to set up fertilizer plants once they know where this natural gas thing will come. And they would have preferred Region 5 and Region 6. And since we know that some other, not only Exxon now, other oil operators are saying that they're finding oil, like who was the most recent one? Chevron? The other CGX or whatever is the other one that said, and they're finding it closer to quarantine area. But they find
CGX.
a lot of natural gas with it too. So that natural gas could be naturally coming to Barbados instead of sending it to Wales, which is further off. And if you send the natural gas to Barbados, you can have a fertilizer plant. All of this thing you had to conceive. But you know, them fellas, they get up morning time, Jack, they'll get up and he said, put them a Wales. You know, like time Bonham used to do. He get up and say, let us have a glass factory. Let us have this factory and that kind of thing. We got to understand that there comes a time when we got to plan big for all these things. And if we're going to have a gas to shore energy sector, that energy sector, because of the natural gas that will flow there, and it's humongous amount, you could also have ammonia plants. You can have urea plants and fertilizer plants and so on. But all of these are now missed because these guys only think very ad hoc. They don't plan nothing. Right now, they ain't got no plan, strategic plan for the agriculture sector. They only gone to CARICOM and start saying that, yes, we're going to be the breadbasket. But they have not shown how they're going to do it. They're talking about shade houses and this and that and so on. And you have not cultured your what is called the farmers
Farmers.
into
Yeah.
these shade houses thing and so on. You're still telling them how to cut cane. You want them to cut cane. Cut cane, load them on the shoulder and carry it. And then you got Sis, Narayan Singh and all of them saying that how we going to bring back the sugar sector. You can't bring it back. And they must learn that this
We're
world...
gonna come, Cameron. We're gonna come into the sugar in a few, but before we come off on this rise and this issue here, and as a former minister of public security, now Home Affairs, we have seen the action of the police, which is a bit disturbed. We're a bit disturbed about that. But can you in terms of procedure and practice? I mean, these guys were protesting for their rights, and what is the best way we could have dealt with the situation? I mean, they were not like blocking the road then and so on when the police start, but I think the police aggravated the whole situation, and then they started to, you know, block the road, and I think they wanted to, that.
Look, it is a style of government and a style of governance that is making the distinction between what is happening now with the police force as against what is happening, used to happen before. When I was public security minister, I knew the rights of people to protest and protest peacefully. That is why when they were protesting, when I think the president was at the Pegasus Hotel, they gone and shake up Henry Carr and Dr. Henry and so on. They shake up the people. I warn the police, please, try as best not to react to this crowd because you can have violence. Same thing somewhere, I think it was at West Demerara. They gone and broke down all them police barriers, these PPP supporters. But you warn the police, please take it easy with them. Right now, rice farmers are having a bad day. And the PPP government of all the governments now want to lock the ass up and shove them inside of the back of vehicles and so on. I don't understand what is wrong with this government. But the PPP supporters must know what they wanted. And, to a certain extent, some people telling me they deserve what they get there. But, you can't be harsh with them because people, let me tell you something, Ricky. You know how Barbician's punishing now?
I know,
You
I
know,
know, I know.
more and more as I hear the reports come in, how they really can't get 3 square meals. And them are the biggest set of supporters to this PPP. Big supporter and blindly. PPP just got to say, vote a copras and a gun. They don't want to hear nothing more. And today, shove them inside the back of the vehicle. Go long your way. Carry them. Lock them up. What do they want more price for rice for? They're not lucky they get $200 a bag, paddy, and so on. And then they compare them with Essequibo that got $3,800 a bag. Are you lucky? And so on. And this is what Zulfikar and the PPP is doing to them. Not understanding the people's difficulties. So, the country is going to miss the very caring governance structures that we set up. You have to tell the police, please take it easy. Don't go rough them up. That's our people. Even if they don't support we, that's our people.
That's right.
Guyanese. I want them to enjoy their right to protest. That's a constitutional human right that all of them get. They want to bring out their affairs as to how they're suffering in the rice industry and publicly come in the streets and so on. Well, fine, they can do that. But this is what they get. Of course, the Alliance for Change will always come to their assistance. Always come to their assistance. But some of them now, them shamefaced. Them I watch you sideways when them I walk now. Then I want to watch you straight in your eye. And then this is going on because they still believe somehow that this PPP, which is a different PPP from the Jagan PPP, this is a Jagde White PPP. Jagan PPP was the good PPP, I tell you that. I came from there. And that is why this one here, Jagdeo, he expelled me, expelled Moses Nagamutu, literally expelled Ralph Ramkaran. And he now is the big Jabat there, when he should have really come off from the scene now, having served his 2 terms. But he's serving his 3rd term. I always tell people that. But they like him. They want him. Well, then when you get what you want now, well, you got to take it, But we are going to be in Parliament, me and yourself, along with the
Yeah.
APNU AFC coalition. And we are going to try as best as possible to say that we have to have agricultural subsidies. They must take out that $8 per ton and all the monies that they gather there. I think they get about $1 billion and more. Well, they should help deduct the cost by taking off the subsidy and putting it so that everybody's going to get the fertilizer a little cheaper. The weedicides and the pesticides and so on. All that is used for spray and so. I was born in the rice industry, 47 Village.
Yeah,
And
I,
I
I
know
think I
very,
think
very much, about their difficulties. And,
I Cameron, I think you have really made some solid recommendations about how we can improve that situation here with the rice, and also we have the parliament where we can ask the questions and see exactly where the money will be spent and how the money will spent and what are they going to be doing in the situation given the war crisis, what's happening around the world. Because end of the day, as an economist, Cameron, you have to understand that we have enough resources to put Guyana and to left Guyana to develop its own self. We have energy, we have gold, we have bauxite, we have rice, we have the whole all the vegetables we can. We have to set up a system where we can self-sustain Guyana, if you understand what I'm saying. But we are exporting everything. So you see the sugar dead, the rice gonna go down. We exporting all the natural resources what we got. What is Guyana? What's left in Guyana? So is we have to start in a way to put Guyana self-sufficient, energy independent. You understand? We don't know about cheap energy and all this boast about cheap energy. You're talking about self-sufficient energy. We have natural gas, we have the crude oil, we have the wind, we have the solar, we have the water. All this is energy, and we can self-sustain energy in our country, which is the biggest cost of any manufacturing in Guyana, and that is where we have to focus on.
No, certainly, and we are blessed. It is how we manage these resources now. They got countries in this world where there's big starvation because they got water. We got so much of water in Guyana. We could export water for a profit. And you might get a big entrepreneur who can load up fresh water and carry it out for the Caribbean islands and so on. We can do it in bottles, bottled water. And I think that is being done too. We got fertile land, we got gold, we got, look, everything, timber and so on, and it's pristine. You know that timber industry more than I do.
Yep.
And we got bauxite. Now there's, and so on. Why is it, that we got to be reminded by people like Mia Motley that we must not be tenants in our own land? We must be owners. And it is because, again, and the PPP, they love to give the impression that history started in 2015. They just come to we in Parliament and say, why you not been do that for? Why you not been do that for? And do you know that when I go to quarantine, sometimes that is what I hear when I said to people that this is how we got to do it. But why you not been do that for? A lot of ignorance comes true because they believe in this propaganda that the PPP has fed them. But I said, but why are you asking me that question? Wasn't the PPP there since 1992? Why didn't that happen? All right, we now create the conditions for a lot of things to happen by signing that petrol production agreement. And so you could get $607 million in 2 years. One lick up here now, half year, you might get that $607 million because of the high oil
The price
price.
doubled. Yeah,
You know
price
what
doubled.
we did there? But a lot of y'all cussing we that is a
Yeah.
bad deal. All right, well, even if the deal bad, it has made life easier on the ground that you got over $1 billion to collect in 2020.
Additionally,
Additional, yes. But what you got to do also, Ricky, as I have come to learn whilst being in government, is that they got plenty smart businessmen in the gold declaration and all of that who are stealing a lot of money by not declaring the gold, and they're smuggling it out from this country. Now, with all that money that you could have gotten, billions of dollars, you could also have monies to put for subsidies into all these agriculture things.
That's right.
And they use, and they're very friendly to some of these fellas in the gold declaration debacle. I know of it. I went to State Department and I got who and who declares what and what. And these people are millionaires and multimillionaires in Guyana. And that is why, they like when we inside the parliament got to declare how much salaries we work for, how much car we got, how much house we got. We must also in this country, Ricky, and I want the younger parliamentarians to start, and the electorate out there, the Barbicians, let them businessman come out and state how much money them a work. Why is it that only parliamentarians and professionals and so on got to do that? We must also know how much their companies are making. And then you're going to know how they're dodging taxes. They're the biggest tax dodgers, some of these big companies. And so we will know how much gold they declare, which countries they're sending their gold to, if they're smuggling it, if they're allowing the bypass by Venezuelan gold coming into Guyana and then going other places to Arabs, United Arab Emirates and all of that. And then the PPP are friendly with some of these guys to the extent that they tell them where to go and pay off some people to vote for the PPP. That is what we got to get as the dark side of our democracy. Rich people that make money by dodging the taxes in this country, they are now going to have a big political clout. And all of that money that normally legitimately should come into the tax coffers so that we can know how to spread it around in a more equal way, we can't do. And that is why we're going to start inching closer and closer to this oil curse. It is called
The
um, the,
Dutch
the, the,
disease.
the Dutch disease, because we're going to depend on oil. And this government is going to allow its friends to dodge the taxes and the excise duties and all kind of thing. And so the amount of money that we are supposed to get from other sectors will not be there. So we're not going to get the amount of revenue. And then these people are going to come all super rich, like the oligarchs that Putin got, big time rich. And then they're going to do all the kind of nasty work for the government. At the wrong election, said they could pay you off for the mosque and so on, and the mandirs and all kind of place, and the churches and so. That is what they're going to do. And so the democracy will only be there for those who got plenty money that could buy the votes. So I want to tell you and the Barbicians today that a lot of things will go wrong. A lot of things will go wrong. And if the government is not there to ensure that it is corrected and remedied, we are not going to go any place in this country. We will forever be at war with ourselves and fighting each other rather than having a more equitable distribution of this money. And that is why even President Biden, in the Republic anniversary message that he sent to Guyana,
Yeah.
he said, please, let us have lots more equal distribution of the resources
Of the
of Guyana
resources.
to Guyana. Right. And that is what is necessary. And so, you know, this is the trouble we will have.
Yeah, excellent point. So I wanted to go to our second. We're 37 minutes into our program, so I wanted to go. I want to start you off with the packaging plant and then more. We got to talk about sugar because sugar is a thing. People saying that we close down the estate and all these things and so on, but apparently, like they're not reading the narrative what is happening, and they're not seeing the signs. We're talking about the Enmore sugar packaging plant. We're talking about the sugar terminal and the wharf. We're talking about the reports that's coming out that Rosal, there's over the OPMAC, and it's about over $22.2 billion already spent. No signs of reopening any sugar estate, despite they're saying that they will do that, and the money is being spending to do that. I don't know where the money is going. Let's hear your take on that one. Then we talk
Yeah,
about
well,
the
it is.
Enmore.
It just goes to show how lying this administration is. You know, they even tell people that they sell the Enmore packaging plant and the lands around it and so on to this person. Now, again, it is pretty complicated because we had been saying that we have to right size sugar.
Correct.
You have to right size sugar. And the PPP was saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. But look how they gone now and sell out the Enmore packaging plant. What kind of right? They're not even doing, they're doing worse than right sizing.
That's right. I was about to tell you that.
That is even worse. And they said that how in the first year they're going to fix up Skeldon factory. Skeldon factory is beyond redemption. It can't work. And they're going to fool the cane farmers in Skeldon all the time. They got to learn to plant some other crop there. And the earlier they tell the people to go plant some other crops, whether it's pineapples or peppers or whatever, planting or something, they must tell the people to plant rice. That's it. You're going to make the people expectation better rather than telling them to expect that cane farming will go back in a big way. It will not. Because as we know, sugar prices have definitely dropped very, very low as against our cost of production. The other point I always make is that the next generation of workers in the cane fields are not there. Them young people, like all of this now want to cut cane. Their mother and father probably did. But even their mother and father don't want them to cut cane. So we're going to get a workforce to cut cane. So apart from cost of production, you don't have a labor supply. And then you have what is called the ancillary products, and the ancillary products that sugar could make. We are now breaking up, like the Enmore packaging plant. Forget tertiary products. Better end products, as Sis Narayan had said it for the sugar industry. So even Sis didn't know that the Bar Jagdev them sell out there and get the thing.
Even the
Did
Gao,
he?
even the Gao doesn't know.
Yes, Gao is a joke. One big joke. I don't know which sugar workers they're representing. All they know is they want to collect their union dues and
Now they're
get some
asking
of
for
them.
the they're asking now for the lease storm agreement. No, now they're asking for it on
The
on the sugar
PPP
plant.
has always taken its eyes past Gao. Gao is a subservient, you know, very much enslaved to the PPP. And that PPP now is very much enslaved, not to a good man like Cherry, is enslaved to a Jagdeo, literally. So they could tell them and they could not even tell them. And Gao goes, all right, bye, all right, yes, thank you very much. And then the surha with them. And what's the nonsense about it? They, as an industry representative, when we were in government, we had to talk to Gao. You remember when Granger made me the
Yes,
chairman of that committee to talk to Gao and Nasi and so on as to the future of sugar?
that's right.
Everything we laid out there. Sugar workers reps came from Albion, Skelden, all over the place. And I had to talk to them. And I laid it out very truthfully that this is how we're going to go. Because it is not going right when you got to put $1 billion a month for 36 months.
36 billion, yeah.
Other people that live in this country too. You got soldier, you got policeman, nurse, teacher that you got to find money for. Why only sugar workers are entitled to monies in Ghana? No. And so when you tell them, and I told them, and then we went to Parliament with a green paper and a white paper on sugar. But them fellas just now take the blasted and more packaging plant and gone with them all over the place. Sell them out.
We spent 12.5 million US dollar to upgrade that facility. You remember?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And them said that how they got transfer them after about 5 weeks of silence. You had the president now saying, "Are we really going to take out all them plant and I'm going to carry my Albion?" That's what they're going to do. They lie. You go check Albion and anyway, they don't even put foundation for one packaging plant. Nothing. Ask Sis Narayan saying. Absolutely nothing. Because if they had done it, they would take photograph. Look, we are building the foundation to set up and transfer the packaging plant there. I hear they don't start thieving out pieces of the plant already, giving it to friends and so on. These people ain't got no shame. And you got now a set of people in the sugar industry that believes them. Go down on their knees and they could be kicked about the place by them, but they still go down and they surha with them. This is not good for Guyana. And all they're concerned about is controlling that oil monies. They don't want any opposition voices to be inside of the Natural Resource Fund Board of Directors. They don't want anybody to be in the opposition members or any professional people, not necessarily opposition, any professional people to be in the Transparency Committee of the Natural Resource Fund. We had passed a bill that will get 22 people, all from civil society. They cut it down now to, I think, 9, and we had 22. And they want to make the selection as to who and who, will dominate there. It is a shame. But the governance under this administration led by Jagdeo is the worst governance we're going to ever have because it's so much oil monies. They do not want to go under the international agreements that we signed on to, like the EITI that the Jadupat should be CEO of, like the Natural Resource Fund that we want 22 people, businessmen, labor leaders, youth leaders, bar association people, accountancy people, all of them, to have their eyes on that money. We wanted that and we passed a bill to that effect. They're going to repeal the bill and they're going to put the 9 and the 5 people now. And all 5 will be Jagdeo supporters and so on. And they said that how they're giving we Dunstan Barrow. We don't have to take what the PPP is giving us. If they want us to have scrutinizing eyes, let us name How could you not name Christopher Ram as the man? How could you not name Vincent Adams as the man? Those are qualified people, but they want to thief the money, you know? And that is what they're going to do. And they're going to get their set of people there and all kinds of mismanagement and malfeasance and so on. And that is what the PPP will do. Steal our monies as they have always done prior to 2015, and they now continue to do after 2020.
Chief, if you don't have the body that will deal with transparency, then you are going to have what is currently happening in the country. You are not going to have good governance. You are not going to have good transparency. You're not going to have good accountability. Therefore, what you will have is chaos.
That's right.
Therefore, it is that's why you see you mentioned earlier that the speech, our Republic anniversary, that Biden said that we must able to ensure that the resources have been distributed equally. Now, if you don't have those transparency body in place, I mean, I was part of a EIT. I was part of the EITI board, and I was a member there, where we were setting up the report and things and so on, and ensure that the website is be functioning, where all the natural resources body and owners and all these things and so on, businessmen, they put all the names on the businesses online, what they own and all these things, what has been paid to government, which is the royalties, what government has been collected, and where the government is spending it.
Yes.
That is transparency. And that is what we had in our 5 years when we had that agency there.
That's right.
And it was spearheaded by a very brilliant man, Dr. Jadupat, who was very liked. I want to tell you this, he was very liked and respected by the Norwegians,
That's right.
by the international auditors, as they call them, the IA. All right. So when you remove that from that organization or the country, that is a thing that manages the natural resources, and ensure that the same layman, the same King Cutters and Barbies, they could have got the children to go on the internet and check that thing. That is what we were creating, because I was part and parcel of that board.
No, well, that is what you need. You need better and more governance and less government. Professionals like Jadupat, professionals at the EPA level like Dr. Vince Adams that could also be critical of Exxon and so on. Now, we appreciate that Exxon is doing a wonderful job, in my opinion, by virtue of producing the oil. But you have to still have your systems in place to ensure that they do it in accordance with the terms of the contract. And that is what is so fundamentally wrong now, when you're taking away these personnel of quality. And that is what is happening even in the rice sector. The rice sector used to have the RPA, the Rice Producers Association, which is a scrutinizing body watching the affairs of rice farmers. But where is the RPA today? You got Laker, Rambridge, and all of them. Them are PPP inside out. They are not going to be critical. They are not going to be critical. And they have their benefits to make too, under a regime that is closely associated with them. You got the RPA is supposed to be professionally run, and it was created by an act years and years ago. I don't know, since when the Rice Producers Association. And they used to be a very vibrant body. Today, rice producers like at Blackbush there, they're crying, and I don't know if any RPA man gone behind them. Nobody. And the RPA does collect monies from rice farmers too. I don't know how far they've gone with that or how active they have been. But we know that the RPA is a rice producers arm of the PPP, a kind of a trade union movement. Yes. Yeah. Arm of the PPP, an instrument of the PPP. But all have now lost their sting as a result of what the Jagdeo governance system has instructed them to do. And the people can't get representation anywhere. We as political parties will have to go up there and talk to them. They've been using the phones and they're calling in. Some of them might call in soon as this program done. They go call in. But I am urging too, Ricky, that the people in Berbice must learn to have a mind of their own and come out and state their positions. If
Cameron,
you
I
didn't get
want
a
to stick.
flood relief and things like that,
I want to
state it.
stick. Yeah, I want to stick right there. I want you talk about the mind of your own. I don't know of operator you can share this video. I wanted to show you how the mind of your own should be, how it should be. Can you play the video there, please?
This morning here, the farmers in Blackbush, the rice farmers are facing a terrible situation with this paddy price. We buy all things at a higher cost, and right now they are dropping the price. And I feel the agriculture minister and Mr. Siraj are not performing and see what farmers are going through right now. And if we give them today more, and if the president and the agriculture will not be here, we will invite Mr. Norton, the opposition leader, to come and represent us in Blackbush. Because this is too much now. Everybody look like they are sleeping right now, or they're fighting to come and assist the rice farmer. If this price remains this, we can't go back to the field. Everything finished.
Yeah, well, that is exactly the point I am making. I want, and that is where they must come out and state that they're going to go to people who are going to represent them. Where's the RPA? Where's the PPP? Oh, where's the PPP? They must shove them at the back of their vehicle now. And I tell them, carry them and lock them up and so on. That is what the PPP is going to do. And so the man is right. He's a brave fella. At least he come out there. We were trying to get at least 2 farmers here tonight, remember?
Yeah.
To come forward. But they back down at the last moment. Why do they back down? Look, you are a human being. You got a dignity. You don't want to maintain your dignity? Come out and speak. This is a program that will allow you to come out and speak and talk. What are the costs and the hardships that you're going through? But somehow you feel that if you got your talk, like how the man talk there, by Abia do PPP bad. They're so fanatically in love with a party that hammers them and kicks them in the face. And that is why some of them don't want to come out. But at some point in time, history has taught us that they're going to start coming out like that man there.
That's right. That's right.
Because how much more kicking? Enough is enough. And what you got to do now is to become responsible politicians. Understand what is affecting the industry. It is not just, one little thing. You now got to come up with the strategies. Like I have just tried to, in this program, talk about what you got to waive to help, agricultural subsidies, better water management, and a far more disciplined approach to planting rice and all of that. Getting better varieties from Nari, expand the school there to produce more productive varieties and send it all across the country, like Chetty used to talk and teach we. What we got here now? A set of jagabats at Freedom House. All they want is the aisle money and the friends and contracts that they give. That is what they want.
And we got some of the followers that still don't open their eyes. I mean, that's the saddest part. If there's someone, when I was looking at some of the commentary coming here, we close the sugar estate. They're gonna go cut cane. Bim Saga, are you gonna go cut the cane by?
By
You want to pour Indians and Barbies gonna cut the cane? Is that what you want? Come on.
And
we
that
have got
is where
industry that we have brought on board, the oil and gas sector. Your children, we wanted that school, a training school in Port Morant, that should be converted to oil and gas school immediately. Where's the free education that we spoke about? Free education, so your children and your picnic that will go cut cane, they will go to university and they can take over the oil industry. That's another 45 to 50 years industry you got in there. That is what we have there. That is what the AP and UFC have brought on this table in 2015, 2016.
So it is important that people understand that, and the more and more people will compare that 5-year period that we had as against what Jack did I'm doing now, because all they're talking about is pie in the sky projects. I'm going to build bridge. And up to now, they can't get an environmental impact assessment for the bridge. They're going to build gas to shore. And up to now, we don't get an environmental impact for the gas to shore. They're taking away people's lands now, where the pipeline's going to go. when we had an ideal spot in Region 5, that the thing will come straight there. It ain't got to affect the shipping lanes in the Demerara, the busiest port in Guyana. No. And then we haven't gotten environmental impact assessments. How deep you got to put the pipeline and all them thing there. And then I hear they want to deal with Chinese. The Chinese company without any scrutiny. And Chinese company that Susu, in an interview with some reporter, talk about what Jagdeo happens to be doing with Chinese companies and companies that want to come and invest in Ghana. I hope Barbicians looked at that television interview with that girl, the Vice news girl. You know that girl? I forgot her name. But when the girl put the thing to him about, do you know Sue? And what he say? Sue who? And then he pick up a water and he start drink, you know? What? Look, he got caught with his pants down and he soup on himself in that interview. It was the most miserable performance I saw. But that is in keeping what we've been saying about this guy. He wants to control everything. And that is why I'm pleading with people like Irfan Ali. Tell him he's a private citizen now. Let him go his way. Because he's going to affect a lot of the progress that can be made with a different style of leadership that could be more embracing and accommodating to the opposition parties. Like how Chetty was accommodating to the opposition parties. Jack them don't want nothing to do with we. And he feel he could hold it all. You know, and that is wrong governance. So I am urging, you know, the faction in the party that belongs to the Chetty Jagan original, they should tell him, just take a walk. You serve your 2 terms. You even get half a Janet Jagan term. Walk. But he wants to be the Putin. You know, the Putin in charge. And we are not going to do well with that guy. You and me sit down with him inside parliament and so on. We're not going to do good with that guy. So I want rice farmers to now know that all of these things can come up. And they don't have very bright people inside of that PPP now that understand how to work out policy. All they know about is how to spend the oil money in pie in the sky project. I'm going to build road there. I'm going to build road there. I'm going to build a mile of hydro project. Hydro project, I'm going to end up in hydro seed. You can see. Because they're still again not doing the environmental studies. And a lot of people are talking about you're going to deforest a huge place to put in a reservoir. Have all those studies been done? No studies have been done. And that is why the IDB years ago did not give them the loan. And they're saying that how we blocked the project. We didn't block no project. We went along with the IDB that unless an environmental impact assessment is done, we do not want the Amaila and we are not going to support it. And at that time, we had a majority in parliament, the opposition, and so it was blocked. But once you do the environmental impact assessment, well then fine. But they're not doing it. They want to just go and give some Chinese farm. Here, you take your own money, build the thing, and we're going to buy the electricity. That is nonsense, as Taran Kemraj has indicated. You know the economist, why?
Yeah, the
Taran
boot.
Kemraj?
He talk about the boot system. It's a very
Yes, the
bad
boot
system.
system will be one big boot in our ass.
Yeah.
You better believe it. Because we're going to end up paying lots more for that kind of thing rather than taking the oil monies and building something, especially if you get the designs right, the environmental impact assessment right, and all of that. But these people just want to tell the electorate in Guyana that when 2025 come, we had all these plans and not planning on come to fruition, but they're going to say, and they're going to win elections with plans. That is what they're doing.
But
by that time,
we're
going to be suffering.
We're coming close to time. We're coming close to time. So I want to wrap this this piece here, and I want to remind the persons that the PP were in power for 23 years. 23 years. When we took over power, everything was in chaos. Remember, all this sector were in decline.
Yeah.
We had to set up system in place to ensure that they come on board. Then we had, I think it was 3 years. In 2018, then the no confidence motion came that restricted us. You understand me? So don't come and compare 23 years with 5 years. It's not totally 5 years. And even though 23, 5, you can't compare. Now they are already here in 20 months. What have they done? Is there any new project? Can you tell me a new project that the PP put on board? Name me just one. You and I sitting in parliament. Name me one project that
The
the PP
sellout
put
and
on.
more plant. The sellout and more
Exactly.
plant.
And they keep destroying the sugar. So what is they doing here? So my point is here is that, our time is up now. But I just want to, before I say anything, I just want to ask you to just put a concluding remarks.
No,
Um,
well, Barbicians, I have to apologize for last week, us not having a program. It was a mix-up. And then the StreamYard wasn't working that properly. But in any event, we will be always here educating you, giving a different narrative, giving you our perspective on the situation. And I hope that you listen to us, because we are really suffering amidst all this wealth, which is to ensure that we don't suffer. But Guyanese, like, they're worse off as a result of the richness that was brought to this country as a result of the AFC APNU signing on that petrol agreement. But we are going to give you more analysis as we go on. So thanks, and a very good night to you. Take care.
yeah, I want to say thank you very much for listening and watching, and those who are streaming with us, to ensure that you continue to stay despite the war that is going on. Still stay safe. The COVID-19 is still on. Protect yourself, protect your loved one, and see you next week.
Take
Good night.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.